100% that he should be coming back in again, unless there is some very unexpected wet patch out there. Of course, the allocation.
And also a very good result the week before in the rain in Motegi. It's good to see.
Yeah, he was happy to silence his critics and prove his doubters wrong in recent races, Andrea Iannone, or test sessions. But the man closest to him here back in February was Andrea Iannone on the factory Suzuki.
Here is Valentino Rossi. He loves the Sepang circuit. 12 times from his 16 Premier Class races he's been on the podium. Here's one here, 2011, 2002.
It's too damp. We need to go on wet. You or Alex Rins went out on wet, but you've also come back in. Why is that?
Yeah, no, because the track is half dry, half wet. It looks like a little bit wet before the corner 4, like 4, 5, 6, 7. It's some on that part of the track.
I mean, is there any risk worth taking to say let's go on slicks and just take it easy in that area, because maybe this is what it will be like for the race?
You know, if you take easy, you're not going to test anything.
Ending up absolutely perfectly. There's 37 minutes to go in this first practice session for the penultimate round of the World Championship. And the majority of the track is dry, but there's certain areas, and it sounds like it's turns 4, 5 and 6, that downhill, the swooping left, and then the right-hander at turn 6 that are still wet. And
first result of his career in his 98th Grand Prix, the first time actually Petrucci has ever finished outside the top 20, and that coming on the back of a 20th place finish as well in Aragon. So in the dry, Danilo Petrucci's form has completely evaporated. He will not mind it bucketing down at all.
Just the other day that he nearly missed the race in Philippines. He had such a big crash in the morning warm-up. He really did not feel right, and once he got out there in that battle, because he was involved in it as well. I think it was 73 overtakes in that leading group in 27 laps. Scott Red.
It's not really correct. I mean, he had a couple of bad results during the season on dry condition, but he also get very good results on the dry condition. Of course, he's.
Guys, let me bring you down to pit lane with Francesco Guidotti from the Pramac team. Francesco, we were just talking about Danilo, actually, how he's looked very strong in wet conditions, but in the dry has been struggling a bit recently. What do you think you can do to maybe help improve that form?
And where he struggled a lot this year was more for technical issue than for his skills. So yeah, let's see and try to do our best as usual in any condition.
Even so, Francesco, I mean,
you can feel the difference between different settings. Then you can understand the behavior of the bike, and once the race starts, you are ready to push since the beginning. So it's important for Danilo, it's important for everybody.
Pushing from the beginning, that's something that's...
Before the slicks come on.
Well, Alvaro Bautista's currently circulating out there on those slick tyres. He's been out there for quite a while now, Bautista, with the soft front medium rear. Johan Zarco as well was just going out. He clearly had switched to slick tyres as well. 209.430.
A bit difficult with these conditions now. We've seen Johan with the wet tyre go quite fast. The guys with the slicks have been coming back in. I mean, are you just waiting for a certain lap time to come up before you go out on slicks?
Yes.
I did print off some lap times from the test, actually. What was Maverick Vinales' best pace in the test here in February? 1:59.368. So they're still a good 10 seconds off of where they need to be in the dry, although Bautista is out there improving on the slicks.
Yeah, Jack Miller, as you can see, is also out there on the Honda across the line last year.
Yeah, Jack said it was an amazing feeling to be leading his home Grand Prix last weekend in Philippines. The first time he's been at the front of a MotoGP race since that famous win in Aston in the middle of 2016. Problem was, he got a little bit carried away, didn't he, Jack? Understandable when you're a leading.
The rain come down again, and it looks like Dani Pedrosa, who just headed out for an outlap, it looks like he is coming straight back in. I think he might have even come back in through the shortcut. That's how quick he's back.
Yeah, absolute. Either it's going to make it in between, isn't it?
Yeah, well, guys, Danny's windscreen, you can actually see there are some thicker drops on there. So I do wonder whether it's more around 3, 4, and 5 where we're starting to get a little bit more come down. I mean, you can just see also from the guys coming in with slick tyres. You can normally the entire
comes up to this tricky turn 1.
Yeah, we can just see Paul Espargaro heading out of the pit lane on the KTM. We've only got actually 3 riders out right now. Jack Miller, there is Paul Espargaro just coming out on the RC16 Really good dogfight between the pair of them last weekend in Australia.
They did, didn't they? Right to the line.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing day for KTM. Of course, the two riders finishing first and second in the Moto2 race with Miguel Oliveira and Brad Binder, and then in the top 10.
They're doing his own race, and he was struggling. Scott Redding said, what could he do? Dovizioso had slowed down so much. Redding had so much the superior pace, it was difficult for him to just sit behind Dovizioso and not give up another position.
You can just smell it, you know, and everyone laughs when I say it, but you can smell the damp, and that smell of humidity and rain never does a motorcycle rider any favours. So yeah, for FP1 we'll sit tight, but it'll be good to try and bank a lap time at the end of this practice.
Now, Brad, what are the conditions like out there? Where are the problem areas?
I mean, the main problem areas is the typical area here, which is turn 5 and 6. For some reason, the rain seems to come, you know, from that side first. So like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in these circumstances in FP1, I don't think, you know, that will transfer over to the race. I can't promise it's going to be exactly the same water, exactly the same bit. So at the moment, better to stay safe inside the garage and wander out maybe with 20 minutes to go.
Thank you very much, Bradley.
Okay.
Troublesome areas. Jack Miller finding no issues though out there at the moment. Jack Miller, we do know, in mixed conditions or in drying conditions is so strong. Powers that Astrologa Elite Honda out of the final corner, and Miller should be improving on his own. 2:07.194.
It's interesting what the rider said about Phillip Island, that it just lends itself to that type of racing. The first corner is a fast right-hander, and here it's so different, isn't it? That early, that first corner is really tricky, isn't it? It comes right back on itself.
Yeah, there's only really 2 severe braking zones at Phillip Island, so it's a momentum circuit. It's very fast and flowing, and it keeps the field very close. It's no
for him in the Australian Grand Prix. Terrific last lap battle with his teammate Bradley Smith. They come up towards turns 13 and 14. Rossi obviously looked at those lap times and thinks it's time to get out there. Pol Espargaro moves up into second place, 2:06.786, and he's cut the gap down to Jack Miller considerably. It's just over. Riders will be out there. Scott Redding on a good lap, but could take over at the front. Here he is at turn 15.
Yeah, Redding potentially going top of the timesheets here.
Him here last year. It made up for he was so disappointed when he lost the race in Austria, wasn't he, to Andrea Iannone? And it really did make up for it. He rode quite brilliantly in the difficult conditions. Here is Dovizioso. Championship, the problems they had at Phillip Island. Back to Pol Espargaro.
Accelerating all the way up to top gear. Pol Espargaro, a 2:05.820. He's third place. It's Hector Barber just gone fourth with a 2:07.
We will change the tyre before the end of the practice.
Okay, so he is taking it a little bit easy.
Yeah, he's taking care just to have a look to the racetrack, and he will change.
Okay, thank you, Davide.
Well, that's cleared that up. We still have...
Unless, of course, we do get really baking hot conditions, then the hard tyre may be needed for endurance.
There is quite an interesting argument, and something people have been speaking about down here is that...
This is Marc Marquez, could go top, nearly 0.4 of a second up as he comes into the penultimate corner, turn 14, down this back straight. The 6th gear corner this, it goes right, then it comes right back on itself. Oh, they're at it again, Zarco and Rossi. Zarco has gone top, a 2:02.841 for the man who has won here for the last 2 years in the Moto2.
Johan Zarco will pose a real serious threat. He's posing a serious threat as it is now on a year-old machine. What would it be like on the current spec model?
Yeah, he's already a Rookie of the Year, 6th in the World Championship.
Then he will be the top independent team rider as well as Rookie of the Year this year, Johan Zarco.
Here is Marquez onto that back straight, down towards turn 15. 33-point lead in the
Frenchman. Zarco, here he comes then now. Is he taking over the top again? No, a 2:02.311. He loses all of his time in that 4th sector, does Johan Zarco.
So it looks like everybody is out.
Through that magnificent turn 3.
Oh, what a corner.
Almost getting his elbow down there. Scott Redding got from turn 3 when Casey Stone was on board that Ducati or the Honda. It was absolutely took your breath away.
So a bevy of riders making their way into the final corner. The back of the trio. Grand Prix here, Hector Barber, I think in the 250 club, or finished certainly on the podium.
Hey, you're right about Andre Iannone hitting a bit of form. He hit a few riders, didn't he, last weekend as well in Phillip Island. Iannone did say the fast corners where you got Alex Rins in that lead group for much of that Australian Grand Prix.
Since Vinales got a good record here. That he won the 125cc race in his first year, and his single appearance here in the Moto2 class.
Italian with 2 races to go, Maverick Vinales. The reason why he's no longer a championship contender, no wins in the last 11 races. Phillip Island actually was only his 4th podium in the last 11. It's been a real struggle of late for Maverick Vinales.
Soft, I shall let you know once he's back out.
Maverick Vinales back in. We see just previously saw Marc Marquez, who leads away with that 2:01.232. 10.5 minutes to go. Now his season is over, and we just wish him well during the winter to get fitness back for the start of the season next year.
Yeah, Michael van der Mark has of course raced here previously at the Sepang International Circuit on board Le Mans, so a long time since we've seen a Dutch rider competing in the Premier class.
Well, it's one of those countries where motorcycle racing is so popular, but there has been a dearth of riders coming through, and that is his great mate. There you go, as they come up the start and finish straight up towards turn 1.
But like Dani Pedrosa had some kind of issue there with the foam at the back of his seat unit. I don't know if it had worked loose or what he was wanted.
Good. It's a really good session for Jack Miller. Did a brilliant job in Australia, finishing his Honda career, of course, before joining a Pramac Ducati next season.
Guys, that problem you just saw with Danny
to 4th place.
Yeah, this is brilliant stuff by Jack Miller. He was inside that top 10 in every session last weekend. He was only 5.6 seconds off the victory last time. He's been off the circuit somewhere. Because he lost 4.6 seconds. He's made a mistake. Yeah, this is probably the replay of the mistake.
That's that double apex right, yeah, they're coming out.
He was up through the first 2 sectors quite comfortably, Mark. Protagonists in this MotoGP World Championship, the only 2 men now left with a chance of lifting this year's crown, are slugging it out late on here in this opening practice session in Malaysia.
Here is Andrea Dovizioso.
Riding a Dani Pedrosa to sweep through and dropping from 11th to 13th. Didn't really have a massive impact in terms of the points gap. Had he not been overtaken by Pedrosa running, of course, he would have come here 31 points behind Marc Marquez.
DC Championship. 2nd place for Andrea Dovizioso. 2:01.260. Up at turn 1, we're back with Marc Marquez. So probably going to go faster.
Actually working.
Luigi Dellini, of course. Gigi Dellini, known by everybody. Really very much the man, isn't he, behind the turnaround.
But yeah, they've been proven absolutely vindicated to have kept this man, Andrea Dovizioso, dropping down now through this brilliant turn 12, and then he'll flick it right through turn number 13. This is where we saw Marc Marquez make that big.
But not quite so good through sector 3, as you can see. We have just under 3 minutes remaining. So we ride with Marquez into turn 15.
Yeah, Dovizioso's consolidated his place in 2nd.
For Lorenzo up into 3rd place on the Ducati. So they look a lot happier than they did at Phillip Island, the 2 Ducatis.
Yeah, and the 2 men who'll be looking or be anxious to get in that top 10. Dani Pedrosa, who included the warm-up and of course rode that bike home to a top 10 in the race. The KTM really starting to come to the fore.
Yeah, Bradley Smith's been in those Q2 sessions both times, but he's had to come through Q1, hasn't he? Practice session, but the teams and the riders are worried about the weather, so they are trying to put in a banker lap now. The top guys trying to get in that top 10, just to ensure if the rain does come this afternoon and tomorrow morning, they would go straight in.
Look at this, it's going to be very, very tight if he does, but he could actually be going from 13th to first. Dani Pedrosa's just gone 10th, but this lap from Bautista might not only be the best of the session, it might be costing Pedrosa.
2:00.
Is dry, and so is tomorrow morning's.
Karel Abraham running in 9th place. And look at that 2nd sector time as we follow Andrea Dovizioso.
Rossi just came over the line to get up in a 10th.
Corner, turn 15. As Matt said, the checkered flag is out. This is the end of this first practice session here in Sepang. Will Dovizioso take over at the front?
Yeah, he does. Dovizioso a 2-0.
Abraham Barber, Lorenzo Petrucci, That is your top 10. Yeah, it may not matter one iota, but as we know, it can rain here so hard that the riders want to get those banker laps in, and they have.
Perfect way for Andrea Dovizioso to start this weekend. Advantage Ducati in terms of the top speeds, no surprise there. Danilo Petrucci fired his GP17 through the speed traps at close to 300 by Pedrosa at the end of that session.
Very impressive session from Alvaro Bautista. In second place on that Aspar Ducati. Here is Danny Pedrosa, clutch problems for him. Behind him, the sole representative, of course.
Behind him in Tito Rabat, a former World Supersport champion. Behind him in Sam Lowes. And a man who's fought for Moto3 and Moto2 world titles behind him in Alex Rins. There is Rossi doing the flag-to-flag practice bike swap. That was pretty decent. But turn 4 that broke Marc Marquez's seat unit. When you saw Marquez back in Parc Fermé with a broken seat unit and all the scuff marks over his leathers, you'd actually been forgiven for thinking he'd crashed in that Australian Grand Prix.